All right. Should I time myself? Because I had to time everybody else. Oh, you're going to do it? She's going to give me like 2 minutes, girls. She's going to be like, time's up, time's up. All right. Well, I did time myself last night. I wasn't even a quarter of the way done, and I was down to 4 minutes left. So all those things that I wanted to say, I'm going to give you what God says to say. So anyway, okay. So mine is on the overflow. You've heard us, all the other ladies, talk about thirst. And so in the real, if I drink a glass of water and I'm done, and it's just going to like go everywhere. But I'm going to glisten, and I'm going to be either cold or hot by it being cold or hot water. But anyway, what does an overflow look like? I think that was my question. So whenever the ladies and I decided, hey, we're going to talk about Isaiah 43 and 44, I'm like, well, people are pretty familiar with Isaiah to a degree. First time I read through Isaiah 40 anything, way back when, I was like, oh my gosh, what an angry God. Wow. Gee, he's mean. Okay, really, because that's what it seems like. If you read through these scriptures without some, hey, God, what are you talking about? It looks like he's like a really mean God. And he's pretty upset. Anyway, I just want to read something to you. I read through Isaiah 43 and 44, and there were some things that kind of stuck out for me, because what I'm looking for, right, is what's the overflow look like? So here's just a couple things. You are my hand-picked servant, so that you will come to know and trust me, understand both that I am and who I am. Be alert. The girls talked about this one earlier. Be present. I am about to do something brand new. And then just a little bit further down it says, drinking water for the people I chose, the people I made especially for myself, a people custom made to praise me. I don't know about you. I'll just finish this one. So this one is in 44. He says, but for now, dear servant, I'm going to put anybody's name in here, Sharon, Jess, Cassandra, listen, yes, you are my personal choice. Now, 43 and 44 are not short verses, but those are the verses that stuck out to me. And obviously, you can see he loves us uniquely because those stuck out to me. What he's saying in each one of those is that something personal. It's very personal. Like, each one of us are so different in here, and we kind of have a hard time accepting ourselves for who we are. But he's like, no. It's personal between you and I. So I was like, okay, God, well, how do I put that into an overflow? And here's what stuck out to me, and this is what we're going to talk about. So he says, so that you will come to know me and trust me, understand both that I am and who I am. Well, that kind of sounds easy, right? How many of you understand that he is? So I can pretty safely say that I'm in a room of believers, probably. If you haven't, we'll get to that later. But anyway, so we understand that he is. And even people who don't know God know that he is. Like, yeah, there's some God out there somewhere. When I'm really, really mad, I might be pissed off at him, sorry, or I might pray to him, okay? Just depends. But here's the thing that he was trying to share with me, and this goes exactly with what Laura and Dana and Jane have all said before, and it comes right to the very end. Now, we knew what we were talking about, but we had no idea what God was going to lead us to say. And here's where he literally brought me to, and that is, we really can't have an overflow until we believe who he is, who he is. Now, just take for a moment, and I'm not going to make you answer, but I would love it if you did. If you're in a hard time and you go back to who God is, what's your first thoughts? Go ahead. Peace. Cassandra says peace. Anybody else? Don't be shy. What does that look like, Jane? Okay, so it's a kind of a joke, and Jane knows this too, because I am one of those girls that always say, that's awesome, God. What's that look like? I mean, I can read it, and I'm like, man, that's so cool. That's cool. Well, what's that look like for me? That was like a long time ago. How does this apply to me? What does it look like, and how am I supposed to intertwine that with my life today? That's exactly where I am. So I'm like, okay, God, so how do I take they know who you are or that you are into who you are. And it's personal for each one of us. And you know what he gave me? It's relational, relational, relational. How I know God to be who he is now, and I have to tell you, if I would have asked the same question that I just asked, is how do I know who he is? This is the way it might have been in the past. And this is where my cup begins to overflow. In the past, this is who I thought God was. Angry, judgmental, mean, loved other Christians better than me because they were better people. Okay, so all these things. Can any of you attest to this? Am I the only one who ever saw God as being like, you're just, I'm going to save you, but you're just pretty mad at you. That's the way I believed for the longest time. I'm just being honest. So I didn't grow up as like, oh, he loves me. It's going to be awesome. No. Until I found out who he was, until my cup then began to overflow. And it makes sense. So let's just go back for just a second. How many people in the Bible can you think of knew that God was, but then how or who he was? The first person that he brought to my mind was Hannah. Hannah knew that God was, and I don't want to take up a lot of time talking about her because I have other things I want to say. But it was because she knew who he was that she chose to get down on her knees every year. And that one last year, she prayed fervently, just give me a son. I'll give him back to you, but just give me a son. I mean, but she wouldn't have never, ever done that had she not known who God was, his character, that he loved her, that he wanted good things for her, that he didn't really want what's-his-name's other wife picking on her because she didn't have a kid. Okay, so she knew his character, and that's what he wants from all of us. He's like, once you get to know me, your cup will overflow. Your cup, and it's just not easy. I mean, Hannah had to be intimate, and she had to be vulnerable. Who wants to pray to a God that they are not going to get what they want from? And she had no idea if he was going to answer, but she's like, but I know who you are. I know you want good things for me. So another one, and this one, just Dana talked about it earlier. She knew who Jesus the Messiah was because he was like walking around and everybody's like, oh, he's the one that'll heal people. But she had to know that his character was he wanted to heal her, that he chose to heal her. And she didn't even go and be like, yo, Jesus, can you heal me? Because I'm like totally broke now and I've been bleeding forever and no, I can't, the laws of the time was she can't be around people. She's like, I can't. She didn't do that. She's like, I know who he is. If I can just get to him, it'll be different. I mean, there's a difference between knowing God or knowing what type of God he is and knowing who he is, and that's where the difference is. And the third one, which kind of makes me laugh. So this is more like, but let me just tell you about it. So this one's in 2 Kings. This is where Elisha he's been told what's been going on. Like the opposing king to Israel was like going to attack Israel. So Elisha is going to the Israel king because God told him what was going on. And he's like, yo, there is an ambush over there. Watch out. So he did this like over and over and over again. And finally the opposing king was like, who is doing this? Like, who's my rat? And his guys were like, oh, it's that prophet over there, Elisha, right? So he's like, well, let's go kill him. He's like, find out where he lives. I want him killed. So he sends his whole army to this town where Elisha lives. No, come on, girls. I mean, so Elisha's servant's like, can you imagine? And Elisha's like, nah. He's like, let me pray. And so he prays that God would open Elisha's servant's eyes. And so the servant sees God's angels' army, okay? And so he's like, oh, okay. But see, Elisha knew God, number one, and he also knew that God, who he was. He's like, he's not going to let me go tell that. He's not going to let me go tell on, the opposing army without protecting me. And so I think there's these things that kind of, God was like, it's almost like when he was telling me these things, he's like, yeah, I do care, and that's who I am, and that's what I do. I care for my people. I love them, and I want to have intimate, vulnerable relationships with them. And I got to this point, too, where I'm like, even in my world, very few days do I get up and say, what's on your mind today, God? What's it look like from up there? How you feeling? Who thinks to ask the God of all gods how he's feeling? I mean, if we have a problem with husbands not being emotional, let's talk to God. because I'm pretty sure he's going to share some things with us that are going to far surpass what any person here on earth can give us. But anyway, that leads me back to I think it was his delight to share with me, because I don't know about any of you, and I think Laura was exactly right. The next time we do these and the next time I see speakers here everywhere, it's because you have testimonies and it's because you love Jesus Christ. So please, count on it. And if you don't want to speak, do something that shows your presence here, because we all need it. We need to hear what's going on in your life. So what does that look like for me? It's a cup of overflowing, and I think it's going to look like that for you too. But it's going to be different. My cup of overflowing is relationship. So what I didn't have in the past, even though I knew Jesus and I wasn't quite sure who he was, it was still a little dry, right? I'm not talking that I didn't spend time with him. I didn't trust him. I'm just like, yeah, I'll tell you this because, yeah, I don't really know what you have planned, and I don't know that you have good things planned for me. I mean, you say you do, but that's probably for someone else because they're more Christian than me. I know it sounds strange, ladies, but I'm just being real with you. I can't imagine I'm the only one out there that ever felt this way. I like to be thankful that I no longer feel that way, because now whenever things come up, I do a couple things. I say, what does it look like? What does your plan look like for me? You know, when I deal with something, I'll be specific. When I deal with specific people at work, or when I deal with people at work, I can't hold them to a higher standard. I can't say, now would God be pleased with you? I can't say that. I can't say that. But, okay, so I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago at work, I know that so we have a number of Christian people at my job, and they're mostly in the engineering department. So I happened to be downstairs. I was talking to this one gentleman who is not a believer, and I knew that he wasn't a believer, but he was talking about some bees that protect themselves by grouping together and stinging the person to death. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, and then I was like, isn't that amazing? I was like, our God did that. We all have different defense mechanisms. He's like, your God is not smart enough to do anything like that. And I'm like, what? I mean, I got this really weird. I was like, this white came over me. I'm like, I'm gonna hurt him. I'm like, that's not a very Christian-like thing to do, because he knows I'm a believer, right? So it was so strange, because I don't know about you, but immediately you want to, it's like your friend, you want to be like, excuse me, do you know who you're talking about? I'll smack you dead. Sorry. Okay, but anyway, I happened to look to the side, and I looked at him, and I was like, hold yourself, Ginger. And I looked to the side, and there was one of those little millipede worm things that was crawling up the thing, and I was like, oh, look, a bug, I gotta go. And I left, because I was like, okay, you could have really ruined your testimony right there, because I was angry. I was like, okay, so we're believers, right? How could anyone think that God's not smart enough to do that? I mean, it just blows my mind. So, unfortunately, my first prayer for that person was not kind. Thank you, Jesus. Because I was like, Lord, I really want to pray you do something real mean to show him how smart you really are. Okay, God, I'm sorry. But I did pray, and I was like, Lord, I don't know how to represent you in a moment like that, and I wish I would have done something better, like other than, oh, look, a bug, I got to go. Because I went to the defense. I'm like, my God is big enough to defend himself. He really, really is, folks. But I really hope that he does something one day. And even if it's my witness or my testimony to him or somebody else's testimony in there, I cannot wait for that day where he's like, now that's a smart God. Yeah. Anyway, but here's what God did for me. And this is what I'm saying because I know who God is now. And this is where my cup overflows. I was thinking about work situations the other day, and I was praying over people. I mean, just mentioning their names as I was thinking about them. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I can be a witness. But if you let me know how I can be a witness to them, I'm going to be prepared, Lord. And he immediately said to me that, how did he, it was just like this overwhelming, like this gentleman has no idea. Like he just showed me like an empty space inside of him. Like he has no idea. He can't grasp who God is. Because in my mind, I'm like, God's going to strike you dead. How dare you? But he's not a believer. But immediately my soul began to say, this is God's heart, and this is who God is. As angry as I am at that young man for choosing not to believe it and being so loud about it, that's where I think I got shocked the most, because most of people who aren't Christians are like, that's what you believe, that's nice. they're not rude about it. I was like, excuse me. Anyway, so here's the thing. God, he just shared with me his heart for this person. And it was that he's empty. He has no idea how to believe me. You continue to pray for him. And I'm like, okay. Because I was more excited that God shared his heart for me about this person than it was that he needed to be saved, because I was still offended. I don't know why I'm still offended, because I'm just like, how can you not get that? Anyway, so a little bit long. I think I'm over time, right? I am right on. Good. All right. So here's how I want to put it. Well, I did just put it that way. Let me get too serious. So this is the thing, and I'm going to sum it up, and I hope that the other ladies, if you understand exactly what the other ladies have said, because this is what God has laid on our hearts. And I have to say that probably each one of us could have done like our own sermon. Instead of 10 minutes, I'm like, man, keep going. But I'm strongly encouraged, because as much as I thought I wasn't going to be able, I'm like, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to hear you. I don't know what. He's like, no, I got what I want you to say. And what I want you to say is that I want these ladies to know who I am. Who is he to you? What has he done for you? What can you thank him for? What can you say, oh, he had my back then. He's going to have it now. Oh, and I want to tell you this, ladies. The next time you think about waking up, or even in the middle of your day, and you want to have time with God, ask him how he's doing, because he wants to show you who he is. All right, so that's about it for me, but I want to share this one part with you. You guys, how many of you have grown up in church? Just a quick. Oh, you guys didn't grow up in church. Oh, you did? Okay, you did. All right, I was just picking on you. I'm sorry. All right, so here's the thing. Most of you who've grown up in church, you guys know this drill. Everybody bow your head, close your eyes. We're gonna talk to you about the Lord and coming to accept him. So I've always had a problem with this. I didn't choose to have a problem with this. I just had a problem with this. I'm like, what? Is it really that hard, Lord? Is it really that hard? Can we not? Why do I have to close my eyes? Because I'm like, hey, you going to come to Jesus now? Awesome. Come to Jesus. But I think it's a private thing, so I want to be respectful. But here's the thing. I'm like, Lord, do I really have to say A, B, C, accept, believe, confess? What, who made that? Can you show it to me right here? And so for the past couple years, he's been real intimate with me. And he's like, Ginger, I didn't write that. What I did write was Romans 10:9, that he who confesses with his mouth and believes in his heart, he who confesses with his mouth that Jesus is Lord and believes in his heart that Jesus is Lord will be saved. Ta-da. Ta-da. I think we make it hard, ladies. So if there's ever a moment where you're like, do I really know the Lord? Romans 10:9. If you can say the word Jesus and you believe he's Son of God and you know it in your heart, ta-da. If you confess it, you're made righteous or justified. And if you believe it, you have faith. Just wanted to end that. So I'm not going to make anyone close their eyes, because we want to think that all of you are saved. And you hopefully are. But if you're not, and you want to make sure of that, go to Romans 10:9. Just saying. Easy is super easy. But what I do want to end with, and I think we're going to sing. Are we going to sing anymore? Okay. And this is what I want to share with you. I know that some of us have come dry. Some of us have come super thirsty. And I'm going to just be real here. If you need to know who he is right now, be like, who are you right now in this situation? Who are you? What do you look like? Where are you going? Where have you been? Where are you? And who are you? Don't be afraid. But that's what I'm going to offer you guys to do. You can do it in your seats. You can do it here. But have that moment with him that says, I know who you are. I know that you are God, but what does you as a God look like to me right now? Right now. And I think he's going to go, let me show you. Hopefully he'll do it something nice like that, but I think he just delights in us, and we have to be real with him. So that's about it. And I will close with prayer. I'm going to let them get ready. Let's close with prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you. We thank you that you have appointed each one of these young ladies here today, and gentlemen Ken and Ryan. Lord, we thank you that you have said, come away with me, and they listened. Lord, I pray that as they search you, you show up. You show them who you are. You touch the hurting hearts. You touch the unbelievers or the unbelieving. Lord, we thank you. We thank you that we can trust you. Lord, help them know to believe you, and me too. I have a long way to go. I praise you, Father, and I thank you. Lord, bless the voices as we sing. Lord, may we be such a sweet, sweet sound to you. And may we go away here changed, blessed, and longing to know exactly who you are. In your name, Lord, amen.